What's going on, y'all? This is Dante right here, coming from United Roundtable Podcast. We just getting started, jumping off our first one. But before we get going, man, we want to give a big shout out to Next Level Cuts, man, Baby J, for letting us use the spot. We appreciate it, man. Shout out to Wayy Kool in the back media. Shout out to Naeem Media in the back, man. We rocking. Before we get started, man, we want to just break it down, let y'all know who we are. We're a group of formerly incarcerated individuals who had overcame significant challenges, coming home from prison throughout that time, man, looking to uplift, inspire, and encourage our community. Definitely individuals who coming home from behind that wall, man, and help them and show them that it's hope in this, that they could do the same thing that we're doing today. Each one of us up here, each one of these men up here, we have developed our own brands, and we're working diligently day in and day out to make change, bring the change to our community, just inspire people. So as we get going, we're going to open up, introduce each other real quick. Like I said, I'm Dante Thomas, owner of Team Chisel, a fitness center located right down South Broad Street, 2695. I'm going to go to my right, the O.
My name is Omar Akins, owner of the Wayback Carrier Service, the trucking company, and the author of Operation Capital City. And you can get that book at operationcapitalcity.com. And also a motivational speaker.
All right. Hello, I'm Andre Thomas, Renewing the Mind LLC, formerly incarcerated. Been doing this work in the city for past 23 years. Started my LLC in 2017. My dad and I started it, and we have programs, youth programs, also training for returning citizens. Pass it over to my brother.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juan Rowland, President, Executive Director of Empowerment House, and formerly incarcerated individual. I'm also a drug and alcohol counselor certified by the state of New Jersey. I've been working with the reentry population for the past 16 years without following my release. So, I'm just here and grateful to be around good men, and also, the goal for me in this United Roundtable is to push us forward as much as possible to get into these individuals that there is hope, that although we may have been convicted, there's still some type of testimonial that we need to fulfill. So it's a pleasure to be here.
So how the roundtable was formed, it was a united decision amongst all of us. So myself, I seeked out for some assistance. I told they let's get together and do some things, because I've been asking other people when I first came home, for help about how to get into the background of motivational speaking for the kids and the adults. So it was a slow pace. So I reached out to Tay, me and him got together, started talking. And then I also reached out to Andre. Andre is part of Al, so I went to Andre. We had about 2 meetings. Reached out to Andre. We spoke about this too, getting together, helping kids out and adults and stuff like that. He was telling me a way to go about it. And then Juan, last year, me and Juan, it's funny because me and Juan worked together at the feeding. We did United Feeding for the community. And we spoke, and then I think we spoke sometime down Columbus. Wow. And then again, we had spoke. Dre kept saying, yo, you got to meet Juan. I couldn't remember his name. And then it all leads to, this is Juan. Yeah. So Juan is a nonprofit. He has his nonprofit already, and he's the empowerment, spokesman, CEO, and all the above. So all 4 of us came together, and we came up with the round table. So this is just the beginning. This just to let people know what we're trying to do and let people know that we coming. So, I said it. We coming. We're going to be doing things together as a unit. You can't do nothing alone. So I asked them personally to, I asked Tay personally, Dre personally, and Juan myself. So, I don't have no ego. My ego is set to a side when it comes to business and to working together. And I have some other stuff coming up. All of us have some other stuff coming up. So, but like I said, we working together and we trying to open them doors for us and people to come behind us. So when we get new doors in our feet planted, man, we will be out assisting and helping other people, bringing them in. We're not hiding the information. So we ain't doing that. And I'm telling y'all firsthand, we ain't hiding information and we coming.
Right. I want to echo a little bit about what O just said. He said a lot, and it shows a lot of value. And just to know that this is not something that we just started yesterday. Like we've been out, each individual, we've been out doing these services. You can follow us all on our different platforms, and it shows proof that we aren't just sitting here going to be talking. We're going to be actually working off receipts as far as what we do. And also, we're going to be dealing with some evidence-based information, whether it's professional or whether it's something we experience. So that's a disclaimer for everybody to understand that whatever will come out of our mouths is either going to come from the heart, from our intelligence, and from our experience. Anything other than that, it's up to the population to process, and just know that it's going to be for good intentions that we come up and we're going to be speaking about different parts of life, different parts of the spectrum. So keep an open mind and allow us to serve. Thank you.
With that being said, can you share your journey from incarceration to becoming a brand owner? What were some of your biggest challenges that you faced?
That's a good question. I started at the age of 18. I was 18 years old, 6 months when I was rescued. I was rescued out of a street on Federal Street where I grew up on Union Street. But I was just out there, being a product of my environment at that particular moment, where everybody in my area were either you sold drugs, shot some basketball, talked slick, or was smoking some weed. And I was all of the above on that level. And I kind of realized after my incarceration that I was actually rescued from out of these streets, because in the year 2000, I landed in a cell with a $500,000 bail for a situation that I did based on my emotions that lasted only 5 minutes and cost me 8 years in prison. What gave me the turnaround while I was incarcerated is me being an observer of what was going on in the prison system, right? When I was in there, I just started seeing a glimpse of the gangs, right? It wasn't as big as it was when I was in prison, but in 2000 down in the workhouse on APOD, maximum security, you seen a little bit about that type of language coming in. And I didn't know nothing about it. And then the people that was actually speaking, they didn't know too much about it. They just know more than everybody else. So I was looking at that. I was looking at everything that was going on, and it was almost like a dog-eat-dog type of world, right? People were getting their stuff taken out of their homes, people fighting, manipulating, and et cetera. And it kind of told me, wow, this is what I got myself into. So to fast forward, outside of me having some infractions in the facility where I was fighting, that's another story. I had a couple of fights in the maximum security, what caused me a little bit in the long run while I was down in prison. So going down into prison, I seen that to another level. Being around individuals from different counties, Essex, Camden, Jersey City, New Brunswick, et cetera. We had all these different characteristics coming from different backgrounds, still trying to eat off the same plate as far as the culture is wise. And I was just, again, an observer of wow, this is what it looks like. Again, people gang banging, people manipulating, people, hurting their own brothers after they done. For them to come into the situation, ended up hurting them. And I'm like, no, I can't be a part of this. I can't be a part of this. This can't continue to be me, because I'm a loyal dude, right? And I say that to say is that while I was rescued, well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm a loyal dude. So if I commit to you, I'm going to ride out. But then the mission that you were trying to have me ride out to was going to lead nothing but a dead end. So what I had to do is I had to reinvent and or adapt to a whole new way of thinking. So what I did was I took myself and became a teacher's aide down in Bordentown. So instead of going to the laundry room, what everybody else is doing just to try to get through, I ended up being a teacher's aide. From there, I was cool with a couple of the officers, and I was the first person on every list that was going on with his education. First person on a GED, first person on life skills, first person for college. I was the first person for all that, and I took advantage of all that. I got my GED down Bordentown. I got my college credits down Bordentown. I had a 4.0 down Bordentown with 24 college credits down Bordentown. And then from there, I ended up going to Riverfront, because when I went to go see these individuals, they said I had to go to either go to the TC program, therapeutic community, or get an A over and stay behind the wall for the rest of my remainder. So I took the opportunity to go there. That's where the shift really came, because they put me in a program where the brothers that looked like me, acted like me in the past, were in a whole different type of mindset. We was in a mindset where we had to address each other. We had to hold each other accountable for our actions and our thoughts and et cetera. We had to use our words to express how we feel. And in the beginning, it was uncomfortable for me, because for one, why are you telling me what to do and you're just like me in the same situation? Yeah. But after a while, I kind of, took key, because again, when the things change, the mind does too. And we'll speak about that probably further on in our podcast. But that allowed me to start reinventing a better version of myself, because I was able to have the courage to confront others. In the beginning, or some parts was a little fun, like say for example me and O, right? We now know how to use words to confront each other assertively, and then it's like checking each other, and we gotta respect the fact that I'm checking you because you're checking me, and then I'm gonna be watching you because I know you're gonna slip up too. So that became part of me. Like, you know what? Today I can address somebody like, look, big brother, you can't bring that in my car. See, before that wasn't like that. You know what? You look at it and you turn the eye. That gave me a better version of myself on that level, and then it prepared me to my journey after coming home from prison. I did 3 years on parole, never gave a dirty yarn, never got a violation. I graduated at the highest level. I ended up visiting 2 times a month. Came home, did some survival jobs. From the survival jobs, got an entry level. Worked at Bull Robinson. Again, I started working at a place that used to assess me. And then from there, I ended up working at Yardville Corrections. And then from Yard Corrections, I went to Midstate Corrections. I was one of the first drug and alcohol counselors to open up that prison again before Christie left office. So there was a lot of things that I was transitioning in that continued to mold me to who I am today.
Is it safe to say that those obstacles gave you the strength that it took for you to start your own brand?
Yes. It gave me, well, obstacles, I'm going to say it was more, I had minimum obstacles, a lot of blessings, if that makes any sense. Obstacles because I foreseen what the obstacles was because conversation was happening prior to my release. So I wasn't just having conversations, I was processing the conversation and I was preparing myself for the conversation, right? Like again, education, self-discipline, right? Identifying who you are. All of those things I had to do that while I was in prison. So when I came home, I had enough education to move to the next step, to be able to sit and have a job interview or build a resume, right? Identifying who I was able to come home and yes, go by where I used to be and just see what was going on and be able to still move on to my greatness in a sense, right? Self-control was another thing, right? Because we're gonna build tolerance, right? Being able to understand that although I'm in a situation where I ain't got nothing, I know things will get better, right? So the blessings was more than anything for me, right? I was able to be blessed to go into Bo Robinson, right? I was blessed to go and get my certification to become a drug and alcohol counselor, where it led me to go into these prisons and speak to the brothers that I was once a part of, right? So I can't really say I had obstacles as far as where I'm at today, as far as my redevelopment, but I can speak a lot about the blessings. And this is what got me to create a nonprofit organization, because everything I just told you about how I made it to these prisons was on the strength of a nonprofit organization. Gateway's a nonprofit organization. Bo Robinson, CEC, back formerly known Community Education, was a nonprofit organization. So they allowed me to go into these doors that gave me the opportunity to be a state worker today with a pension.
Right.
So that's me.
That's the story right there.
Yes.
That's the goal.
You're right. So how did you handle self?
Okay. Yeah. So Andre Thomas, I mentioned, like I said, formerly incarcerated, and I was sentenced 15 years back in 1992. And prior to that, I did a year in the workhouse, but it didn't really hit. I was running wild as a youngster, ran those streets, in my younger years. But, that 15 hit me hard. And I remember being on that prison bus and, that inner voice said, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You either gonna change or this is gonna be it for the rest of your life. And I decided to change. So me and my pops reconnected. He would send me books by Naeem Akbar, Fifth Discipline, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I was just soaking up knowledge. And I started noticing, because I went to Leesburg, Bayside, right? And Bayside, the challenge was not so much the inmates, but the police. The COs was the challenge, because it was very racist. So I kind of used that environment to develop myself myself on how to respond to things that I couldn't control. All of that was the things I was learning from Naeem Akbar and learn just reading some strategies that I was seeing. Les Brown was another guy that I read his books and it inspired me. And I started to realize, I said, okay, in order to change, I had to be a part of that. And so I started to develop myself, reading these books. I started looking at some of my peers who were struggling with these things. And I seen guys coming back and forth. I started interviewing these guys, saying, what happened? You know what I mean? And I said, look, I'm going to do the opposite. You know what I mean? So I said, okay. So it kind of gave me what I needed to do, in order to develop myself. Because they say, self-reflection leads to self-correction. So I had to deal with myself first. I had to look at how did I get caught up and how I'm going to fight these challenges coming home. So I started counseling guys from the stuff I'm reading, and I remember talking to this guy from Camden who was struggling. Every time he come back from visit, I noticed he was high, and I'm like, this brother, so I started talking to him about some of the stuff I'm reading. And he said, Dre, man, you ought to be a counselor, So I started talking to other inmates and I started practicing some of the stuff I was reading on those guys. And I came home in 1997 with passion but I wasn't sure of the outcomes, a lot of uncertainties, coming home. But I realized, I said, look, I started working at Rite Aid. making $6 an hour. Then I started working at a warehouse, but it was some doors that closed on me. I remember going to work at Waste Management. God told me all I got to do is go get my CDLs. So I went and got my CDLs, and then he didn't have the opportunity there, So I was a little salty about it, but that was one of those crossroads. I remember Jay said on his songs, you come to that fork in the road. I decided to go straight. And I read from Les Brown. He said, where there is no path, create a path and leave a trail. And that's what I decided to do. And so on that warehouse journey, I started noticing that the stuff I was reading was working. I learned how to, one principle that I decided to live by, y'all, was I said, I know that I couldn't approach this ordinarily. I can't do what normal folk do. I had to be extraordinary, everything that I did, because I had this baggage. I couldn't explain these 5 years. And I had 5 years parole, and I was on a bracelet. So I started to, work those things in those warehouses and use the things I was reading. And eventually I started volunteering. I started going out. My dad, who was kind of nurturing me and developing me, he started getting into the nonprofit world because he was retired from the military. So he started getting into the nonprofit world when I was incarcerated. So by the time I came home and started doing some things, he had already started developing some stuff. So I began to volunteer when I was working in the warehouse. Somebody discovered me while I was volunteering and said, I want you on my team. That's where it started for me in the nonprofit, where I was working for Mill Hill Child and Family Development Corporation to develop this thing called Teen Peers, and it's still operating to this day. But in doing that, recruiting, I came across IOS. And next thing I know, IOS came to me and said, we want you on the team. And I had to leave that organization. Broke the guy's heart. But I said, sometime when purpose calls you, you got to move. And once I learned this, purpose is not something you always decide, neither something you discover along the path. And so that's where it started for me. I started working at IOS, running the youth build program for many years, inspiring people, did that. And then for several years, but in 2017, my dad and I decided to develop Renewing the Mind LLC, and we wanted to address ninth graders because for me, ninth grade was where I started. When I look back, ninth grade is when I started to go off the I started cutting up. And so we wanted to engage ninth graders, and we've been doing that for the past 8 years, and we just recently, in the last year or so, started working with returning citizens. Although I was doing that work when I was at IOS in several capacities, but this was at my LLC doing it that we created. So that's where my journey started with my LLC. But it goes back to when I first came home and all the things led up to this now. And meeting these brothers was so critical because they're now part of my journey. And I know every brother sitting here, we all come from various backgrounds, even though we're formerly incarcerated, but we all come from different perspectives. And I knew that it was time to now expand and connect with people to reach people that I can't ultimately reach. So I said, when you begin to do that, it has this ripple effect. So I'm honored to be at the table with these brothers because I know that, our journeys have led to this. And I know that's definitely by design. Yeah.
Right, yeah, definitely. So, my journey took place was December 11th, 2007. That's when the feds got me. Never forget that day. It's like a birthday. That you never forget, right? I was on the run for 3 months during this time, though. But I was stressed out, so I ended up going to the courthouse I was on drug court at the time, too. But they never would come and get me there. For some reason, that day was the day they showed up. So when they grabbed me, they put me in the back of they took me out, but they're like, yo, we finally got Tay-Rock. Because they didn't know who I was. Somebody gave them my name. Like, they had 2 names mixed up. So they really didn't know who Tay-Rock was, the picture. Nothing. So when they see the picture, this the name that go with this picture. So this Tay-Rock, they took me in the back. That, yo, we ain't even got to make it to the courthouse on East State Street. That, yo, you tell us, you got to be somebody because, tell us who, something, and we won't take you there. I'm like, man, y'all better hurry up and get me there. Like, I ain't telling. Once I get there, that judge was like, 10 to life. Like, for what? He was like, for what? This was drugs. So I'm like, 10 to life. Ho. So then my lawyer keep coming. Then they try to career criminal me because I had 3 small little charges in the state, but they put them all together. So they tried to break them back open and give me 3 points for each. How the point system go, boy. So they tried to give me the points. So I'm in there. I'm stressed, right? Not telling my mom how much time I'm facing, right? What's going on? She going through it. So I'm in there. And one day I read a hood book, man. And I get to the end of the hood book, man. And it's like everything, right? The cars, the money, the girls, right? The fame, everything. And then the feds came. So I'm like, I said, Lord, please, man, just don't let me read another hood book while I'm in. I need something different. You feel? I need something different. This ain't, I know how to cook the cook. I know how to do this. I know that, right? Give me something different. I just started praying. I think that's when I started finding myself when my journey begun, right? I started finding who Dante was, not Tay-Rock, not the street name they gave me, right? I started finding out who was that kid that played basketball that everybody used to talk about, right? Who was that star that was running around training that I was known for basketball too as well. I started finding out now who that kid is, who that, not the street name, the Tay-Rock that everybody praises, look up to, right? To glorify that, because what I was doing in the streets, so it was like, who Dante is, man. And then I started reflecting on that heavy, like who Dante is, digging deep, praying, right? God save you, man. My higher power, Jesus, that became my connection, right? Yeah, that became my outlet because I was just looking for things to read, right? I tried different religions, stuff like that, but I picked what fitted for me, what I felt was best for me. You know what I mean? So I took on that and then started to educate myself. And then in the yard, I just ended up getting to fitness so much, I didn't even know I was doing this, man. I had so many people wanting to work out with me. And, we from all over the United States. I'm from Virginia, New York, North Carolina, name it, right? They working out with me. They had made a way to get the yard. So I'm really got the yard in control. Like 2,500 people were working out. You feel me? So, and my man came down, L came down, Lynch came down from Raybrook. He was already a certified trainer. And yo, bro, so he asked me, bro, what you gonna do when you go home? I man, I got 7 years. I got 7 years left, man. I ain't thinking about what I'm about to do when I go home. He's like, nah, look, you gotta start preparing. Look, if you really look what you're doing, you're training, bro. He's like, you could do this on the streets. You could work with somebody. You just try to start your own, right? And God went crazy. I called my mom, and we had the phones in there at the time, still breaking the wall a little bit. We had the phones, pull the phone out, research it, how much it's costing, this and that. So it was like $800. Call my mom, tell her, yo, I'm gonna need this course, look it up. And she's like, what? Yo, I ain't gonna be doing none of that when you come home. She don't know the vision yet because she ain't, she used to what I was doing. 2 weeks later, the jail offered the course at a discount for $400. Called my mom that night, yo, I need you to send me $400 by tomorrow. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, so she did it, after she gave me the cuss out and the rundowns, she sent the money. And that started my journey. And then I just got real serious into educating myself and then wanted to be the best at my craft. So I had another guy named Jeff Hunt. He was from out of Philly. So he was in my unit. Him and two guys, it was 365 was in a unit. Him and two guys was at a table every night. And I walked by there. And one night I just stopped. I said, bro, I need to sit at this table. I ain't knowing you had a number. I'm like, bro, I need to sit here. Son pushed me there. God just was pushing me there. The spirit was and I'm like, I need to sit here. So he started studying with him. The book got frustrated because some of the words, can't pronounce them. I'm getting heated. Bro, I'm about to throw the towel in. He's like, nah, I just come to my room every day. I help break it down. So he helped me get real sharp because he's like, yo, you can't go home and just be a personal trainer. He said, by the time you get home, you're going to be going 10 years, right? How many people been training for 10 years out there, right? Everybody know how to do a curl. Everybody can do a shoulder press. He said, you got to be more than that. You got to be become a transformation specialist. You got to know about medicine. You got to know about every disease. So he had me studying all that, standing up, giving presentations on diabetes, high blood pressure, what you'll recommend, how you would get them to talk back to their doctors, what's going on. So that right there started transforming my life, right? Started transforming the way I think, right? And I'm in jail with people from training, things like that, but the movement I want everybody's respecting throughout the prison, right? With being a part of being a blood back then, right? And not being, I ain't in it no more, but they're like, yo, bro, you got to take the unit because you too level-headed, bro. We're going to crash out. Somebody going to have us crash out in here, bro. So you got to control it because everybody listen to you. You feel what I'm saying? Regardless, they come to you, the younger boys running you, your movement, whatever. You feel me? So running that, so it's and that showed me yo, being a leader in one sense on the streets and then taking that, right, and flipping it and being that extra, that role model, right, that really help people change their life, not just destroy it, right? Not just put a pack in somebody's hand, right, and they bring you back some cash, or they looking up to you and glorifying what you're doing, but it lead them to destruction because I'm for sure all of us right here had some younger kids on the streets who looked up to us when we was doing that, right? They was looking and watching us, and they wanted to be us, right? In our neighborhoods, we want to become a part of the environment. We want to become that person that we see doing this or doing that. So that's how my journey started. Then the name, how Team Chisel on my brand started, and on the pound, they used to call us Chisel. I mean, they used to call us Chisel on the pound. We ripped up, we doing crazy stuff. Then one day we sit in the library, me and a group of us, man, I'm like, yo, so I'm drawing out sketches, what I want to do when I go home, this and that. And my man, like, yo, we got to find a name. And my man, Black Duke, brother, from Trey, he's like, yo, why don't you call it Team Chisel, bro? He said, everything you talk about with us here is about team. Everything you do, you say team, though. You don't leave nothing out. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
like, you know, left behind, man. And that's how my journey started right there. That was it.
After 1998, February 1998, when I came home from youth house, you know what I mean, I got stuff in my book. But 1998, it started. I used to tell myself, man, next time I go to jail, the feds coming to get me. I'm going to jail big. That's just what my mind thought, and that's the honest truth. So when I came home, I had a daughter, you know what I mean? So, you know, I had to provide for her. I stopped stealing cars. I stopped doing all the petty stuff. So I just started hustling, grinding up, meeting people, meeting the older people that I grew up around, and they start, you know what I mean, getting stuff from them and stuff like that. I used to always tell them too, man, little something, if not, now y'all been working for me and stuff eventually. So my mindset already and always was ahead of myself. I just didn't know it. So now my downfall came August, to speed it up, August 29th, 2005. That was my downfall. I had a case from Houston, Texas, New Orleans to Trenton. And I got superseded from Tucson, Arizona, and California, LA. So the superseding indictment. So when I got locked up, like Tay said, the feds actually came and got me. It wasn't the state to the feds, so it was straight federal. So when I got incarcerated, straight federal. And it's funny, I thought it was a game because the amount of money I had, so I really ain't take it serious. This shit ain't about nothing, I'll be home. So it's going to be more of a story in my book, my next book, part 2. But anyway, when I got locked up, they took me to Monmouth County. And I told them, I said, man, I'll be home soon. So when when they locked me up, man, I'm lying. When they locked me up, my mistake, when they locked me up from the police station, Trent Police Station, I was going to go bail one of my homies out. I thought was my homies. I was going to go bail him out, and I actually still bailed him out. And he wound up telling on me down the line. But I bailed him out. I gave his baby mine $8,600 out of my pocket. And then the feds, they let me give it to him, and then they took me down. In there, they asked me a couple questions and stuff like that. I ain't had no phone. They told me at 12:30, I think 12:30, I got a court date. So, you know, in the state, you like, your court date far. So I'm like, a court date? So I'm like, wait. They said, oh, no, you got a judge. I said, I ain't got no lawyer. I need to call Robin. Oh, no, Robin ain't going to be able to handle this. We run circles around Robin. So I'm like, yeah. So they're like, no, you already got an attorney waiting for you. So I'm like, damn, this is different right here. But I'm still being nonchalant, arrogant to the fact that I'm about to go to jail, for real. So we jump in the car. They take me in the car, drive me around Trenton. They told me, you know, if you don't want to cooperate, this is going to be your last time ever seeing Trenton, New Jersey. So I'm like, why? They asked me 2 things. He did ask me, say, you know, what about your daughter? You want to take care of your daughter? So I said, you know, I take care of through visitation in the phone. You know what I mean? Pay phone. So I mean, they said, well, what about, at the time I was married, what about your wife? I said, shit. You know, it is what it is. You know, which one? I'm not on no, I ain't crying over no pussy, so it is what it is. And that's just the truth. I'm not selling my soul for nobody. You know what I mean? So that, and then the last question that the feds asked me, Gary Britton himself, he asked me, said, Omar, if you knew, what would you change? He said, what would you change if you had something to change right now, what would you do? I said, man, honestly, if I knew y'all was coming, man, I'd have did it much bigger. And he couldn't believe it. He said, you fucking kidding me? I said, nah, that's the truth. So I said, man, you know, so we go to court. The judge far. You know, the court, it's the judge, like back there with a big eagle sign, United States of America. So I'm like, damn, this shit for real right here. Carpet flushed. You know what I mean? Shit serious. So my heart beating and all that. I was scared. But I had to show that I wasn't scared. So we wind up going there. They got all this information from me. And it's another thing too, why we need to educate the people on the street to get out the street, but to educate our journey and what we went through. Because now when I get locked up, I had several friends go to the feds, and I know people went to the feds, but they never told me the inside of the feds, what was going on. So long story short, when I go in there, you had somebody come down like a PSI. They come down to get some information from me. Me not knowing, thinking I'm helping myself, they ask me, do I own any properties or anything? I tell them, yeah, I do own properties. Now, me, I don't know if they knew if I own some, but they see the paperwork if they go digging. So I tell them, yeah, I own 2 duplexes, and I got my own house. So I had 3 properties, and everything was paid for except my house. I had just a little bit of money owed on the house. Not knowing, and then, you know, one of my old heads always tell me, oh, don't you put a lien on your properties? Just put a lien on them so nobody can't take them because they're in my name. And the reason they was in my name because I wouldn't want to put nothing in my mom's name, any other relative name, so they can hold a gridlock on me to push me in that corner to cooperate. So I always had everything in my name. So when I told them, yeah, I got this, I got that, Next thing I know, I go for my bail, they deny it. Then next thing I know, before I go to my second bail hearing, guess what happened? They seized the properties. They put a lien on them. They put the lien on them so I can't pull no equity out of them. And then following that, months later, guess what I get? I get a civil case. So they took, I think, $240,000 out the bank. They took 2 properties, but they couldn't touch the one on my official property that I live at because I owe money on it. Not knowing if I'd have put a lien on there, that's third party. Yeah. The first party always got to get paid. They can't take nothing. They can hold it, put a lien on it, but when everything's done, they got to turn it back over because I don't own it. It's not my shit. So I didn't understand that. So that happened. I went to one more court date. Bail hearing. So, but I'm still thinking shit again. So I get to the court thing. I'm still smiling, thinking shit sweet. I'm like, I got the money or whatever. Because I see everybody else coming home. Bitch, Omar Aikens coming home too. I get in there. The judge look at me and said, man, we ain't let it. You just said you're not coming home. So I'm like, all right, it is what it is. Fuck it. I go back to my cell, but I don't talk when I go back downstairs in the bullpen. I don't talk. I don't eat the hoagie or the juice they give me. I'm just thinking like how real this shit is. So now when I go back to my cell, it hit me. I jump on my butt. My legs swing, my cellie come and say, oh, what's up, you good? I said, nah, I'm good. He said, nah. He said, you always smiling and, you know what I mean, you always happy and shit, like you don't have a care in the world. So he looked at me, I said, yo, shit real. I said, shit real, man, shit about to get real. But I didn't know how real it was gonna get, how real it was getting, unbeknownst to me. I just knew I was locked up. I had a drug charge, and then next thing you know, my connect, he started cooperating. Now he pushed the charge back to 2003 to 2005 conspiracy. I just had really, I think, a possession charge. Then I get superseded again. Now my 10 of life went to 20 of life. This is my first time ever locked up. I had probation. I went to juvenile. I had probation as an adult. So long and behold, man, you know, it's just the accolades faced in the county. I had a couple of cellies that was from the section, from Trenton. And I used to tell Robin Lord and Stephen J. Teller, my lawyers, yo, listen, this shit for real, man. I need to go to the library. So I never let nobody dictate my life. I always was a step ahead of whatever it may be. I'm a step ahead. I'm gonna figure my way out. So I called my lawyers. I told them, because they was giving us Mama County. They give us 1 day in the library, 1 day. So I'm like, nah, I need more than 1 day. So me and the library guy arguing. So I'm like, motherfucker, you go home every day. I don't. I'm trying to get home. He said, well, I ain't tell you to do what you did. So, I'm like, all right, that's cool. So I call on Robin. So Robin get in touch with the warden. Robin and Stephen J. Teller, right, the warden in Mama County. The warden actually come down to the unit. Called me down and said, look, Mr. Aikens, you got a complex case. We're aware of that. Both of your lawyers called this. This never happened before, but this will be the first time. You got 5 days. You get to go Monday through Friday to the library. I was down that motherfucker Monday through Friday while they playing basketball, watching TV, and playing chess. I was in the library. So, and I used to tell people in there, yo, y'all better come to the library. Ah, man, fuck that shit. Man, you crazy. You got lawyers. Won't let them do it. And hell no, they ain't going to be able to do what I can do. So I'll go to the library. My case was based off of wiretap. So the wiretap, I learned it's the Title III ambiguous crime control. So I know the whole Title III ambiguous crime control wiretap back to the front. I know the body wires back to the front. I know the tracing tracking device back in front of the law. Like I can tell you, if I get back into it, I can tell you from the front to the end how and why they can do it and why they can't do it. I know the standard wiretap to the roving wiretap. It's two different things. And then unfortunately for me, and I think part of my deal was that they didn't want to go forward with it is because the roving wiretap really was messed up and we was going to attack it. And that part will be explained and shown in my book too, part 2. But I do know that was the stem of my case. So the turnaround for me it really wasn't a turnaround, but it was a turnaround because I've been had property. I had a clothing store with my cousin Blicker. I had a record label with my man Kilogram. So I already was business-minded. I just wasn't grounded business-minded. So I didn't want to take it to the right. I wanted to stay to the left and pivot a little bit to the right. So that was my thing. But I'm going to say, no lie, man, people don't understand. To this day, they don't understand that. Some people might know and some people might not know. Addiction just don't happen just because you're drinking or smoking. Addiction is something that you do constantly. So I had a bad gambling habit. And with my bad gambling habit, I also dealt with losing a lot of money, this and that, and stuff like that. I was losing a lot of money. That was addiction. But my greatest addiction was selling coke. I love selling coke. I love getting money. So to this day, right now, I still deal with that addiction. You know what I mean? My closest family know, but I pride myself with doing a lot of stuff to stay focused. A lot of people like, man, you always doing something. No, I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing enough. I ain't doing enough. You know what I mean? So they don't understand, man. I used to get up. I plan my shit. I have cars in different parts of Trenton. I had stash boxes in my cars. I have my money in my stash box. If I gotta leave Friday or Thursday, I have my money in there Sunday. I'll get up late night and I walk or I ride a bike or something like that. Or I get somewhere to my vehicle where nobody know. And man, you'll be hanging together today, but I'm gone that following day. You would call me like, oh, what's up? Oh, no, I'm gonna call you back. I'm all the way in Texas, LA, or Arizona. So I already had stuff planned out and I always was on deck and on time. So just the profit, having the amount of money I had, the profit I was making, and 1 week, 2 days. You know, Tay. Yeah. You used to call me a lot. Yo, I need this. Right? Now I just come, me and Tay got more in common than people think. You see what I'm saying? So the money, so I'm still an addict. I'm still an addict and making fast money, but I just keep myself busy, and now, you know, I keep myself around like-minded people that I want to be a part of. You know what I mean? I got my brothers, Little, New York, and PR. You know what I mean? Doing my 3 brothers for life. You know what I mean? They do their own things. One of them, you know what I mean? They do their own things. They out the streets and stuff like that. But we don't be around each other as much, but them my brothers. Yeah. They held me down when I was in jail and stuff like that. My family, my sister Tiffany and everybody. So I got a lot of support. I got a lot of backbone. So my biggest change and my biggest challenge was I came home in 2020. I gave 54 months back in the feds. Let's talk about it. 54 months back in the feds for the 2-point reduction. And then when I got to the state, when I sent all my federal paperwork home, I get all my state paperwork. So again, this is why we need to open these doors to help each other. When I get all my state paperwork in, guess what I find out? I read my sentencing transcript. When you read my sentence transcript, it said, Mr. Akins, we're gonna give you jail credit from August 29, 2005 to January 2008, you got sentenced to the feds. To July 27, 2008, you playing out for the state, sentenced to the state and forward. He said, and, you ain't catch it. He said, when he said, and, he missed January, February, March, April, May, June. July, he started. July 27, he started. So he missed all the way from January to July 27. He ain't miss it. It's just the language. Yeah. So you got to understand the language that they speak to us is totally different than the Webster Dictionary. You got to get a black law dictionary to understand what these people are talking about. So we talking about 14 years later. About 14 and a half years later, I get my state paperwork, and then I'm reading, I'm like, damn, what and mean? So I'm asking Paulie, what the hell? I said, nah, it ain't right. So we added up my calculation. I said, nah, hell no, that's an extra year or something. So I get into the law library down there. One of the kids down there from Rosemont named Truth. He a merit. Truth, he a merit. He had helped me with my papers. So I'm like, yo, man, that and ain't right. So he kept thought I was tripping. Then when he took it in his room, then he came out next morning. He's like, oh yeah, they trying to get you. So we went down to library and we start looking up cases. So we found a case. So I contacted Robin. So Robin was busy in trial. So what she did was she sent me a case. She said, listen, use this case. And then get yourself back. If they give you a hard time with overturning them 8 months, crediting you them 8 months, just let me know. I'm going to just handle it for you. So I wound up getting my 8 months back. You know what I mean? But it took a minute because he denied me at first and he hit me with a case. But we hit him with another case that Robin did present to us. And it wasn't double jeopardy. The state and the federal is two different jurisdictions. I don't give a fuck if they right next. I don't care if they next to each other. It's still two different jurisdictions. So, of course, if I get 17 here and the 17 there, if they run it together, that's cool. But if it's running wild, I still got to go here and do it, and then there and do it. But it's two different jurisdictions. One is a sub-statute, and one is the 2A statute. You can't pit them together. You know what I mean? That's what people need to know again. So I think I came in 2020. My change was I was coming home. I had 2 connects. So I had 2 Mexican connects. And they was telling me, and I lied to you not, man, wallahi, they was telling me, man, and they was showing me that they can drop 100 keys of coke wherever I wanted at. You know I was in. But 2000, and he actually came to my cell. You know the Mexicans don't talk to us. They do not talk to us really in the feds. It's very seldom they do, and if they do, it's something in common that they like about you. So they already knew who I was. I was in USP Canaan. His bodyguard came in my room. Knocked on the door. Everybody went to chow. It was Burger and Fries Day, so you know what they do. Everybody leave Burger and Fries Day. Some people don't have to go to chow. I really never went to the chow at all, 'cause I ate out of my locker. So he came, he knocked on the door, so I pop up. I don't know, I'm the only black one in there, so they don't talk to us like that. So it was Serranos. No, so no, my bad. It was the Pisces. It was the Pisces. They was running Canaan. So he knocked on the door. He came in like, yo, my boss want to talk to you. So I'm like, talk to me for what? I'm like, no, everything good. So I'm like, all right. So he says, cool. So yeah, come on in. Come in. He tell me the story, what he got from this, and he gave me 3 numbers. So I'm like, all right, bet. So I had a number for Cali and I had a number for Mexico. So he was working his way to get back to Mexico, and he was like, listen, when you get home, I'll send for you. In Mexico, different. You can actually come to our prisons. You can walk and talk with us, and we get you situated. So, I'm ready now. This next level. So, yeah, hell yeah, I'm with it. So 2018 going into 19. Now, mind you, I came home 2020. One day I just woke up and I just popped up. I said, man, fuck them streets. I'm done with the streets. I just said, I don't want to do it no more. I just chose not to do it no more. I told my daughter, I ain't going to sell no more drugs. And I told my mom, I'm not going to sell no more drugs. So, but I had to, like when you go to AA, you got to take, you got to take ownership, self-ownership of what you did. Now, I already know, you got to step forward, the 12 steps. I know the 12 steps back to back. I'm knowing front to back. So my thing was, I took ownership of what I did. No one in this world could tell me a white man gave me some drugs. Nah, I wouldn't go cop them shits. I wouldn't have bought them. It was my doing, and whatever other charge I had, I took full responsibility to it. Nobody forced me to do nothing. So I took ownership of what I did. That's why I can deal with the time I got. So, and it's gonna be in my book too. When I got the backtrack, when I got sentenced to 17 years in the feds, they said 204 months. So I'm like, what the fuck is 204 months? I'm asking my lawyer, like, what's 200? So we get the whisper and talk. So I'm asking him, what's 204 months? He said 17 years. So I'm like, so I'm down there counting. Oh, I can do that. So he looked, he said, yo, we can pill it. Do you want me to pill it? So I'm like, oh no, leave her alone, because you start messing with them people, they might start opening doors on Sunday. I can do 17. So he looked at it, he said, all right, he started smiling. So I said, nah, I'm good. So when the judge did it, he said, oh, well, we still got rights to appeal the sentence. I said, man, look, fuck that sentence. I can do that sentence, you know what I mean? It ain't a life sentence, which I know technically the stuff I got caught with, and the state charge with the first degree murder dropped down to a first degree manslaughter. Combined, they didn't have to combine it. It wasn't combined yet, but they didn't have to do that. So 17 years to me, I was seeing people in there with jackets with two priors, conviction made them career offender. Man, they was getting caught with 50 grams of crack during 10 years, 38 years. So you tell me I got caught with all this coke in 17 years? Now I can do that. No, I had the money to take care of myself with my family support. So I took my time. Then I went to the state. Him and Robin teamed up in the state. Eventually, we went to court. The judge, man, he did some wild stuff, man. Long story short, the judge came out. He said, listen, I want to speak to you, Tom Mighty. I think his name was Tom Mighty. Robin Lord, Bernard Porter lawyer was Mark Furry. I want y'all in my back chamber. They come back out so burned, like, man, what you do? I'm like, nah, I ain't do nothing. So they go in, they come out. Furry like, listen, you can go home, but they really want Omar. Robin come out. Everybody know Robin is a firecracker. She said, listen, Omar, cut the bullshit. 18 and a half years, running concurrent with your feds. You got 18 and a half months for murder. What you trying to do? So Burn like, man, what you trying to do? I said, man, we going to trial. He like, nah. So I was like, nah, we bullshit, man. Where's the paper? I signed right then and there, and I just had 18 months to do for a murder, but I still had to go to feds. So that's how I got my time, but it's more in depth to it. Like I said, in my book, part 2 book, y'all gonna read all my documentary. Y'all gonna read some of the statutes that I spoke about so we can be aware of that type of stuff. But 2018, man, I just woke up and I just said, man, I'm done. I ripped the numbers up. You know what I mean? It was a couple times I just wish I never ripped them up, but I ripped them up when I was in jail, though. When I was in jail, I'm like, dang, should I have ripped it up? This like 100 to more keys of coke, like in one setting. That's a lot of money, man. So, but I did it. I ripped it up. I just stayed, stayed praying to Allah. I'm Muslim. I took my shahada in 2008 in Big Sandy. You know what I mean? But that's how it came about. So I already was business minded. I already know about LLCs and stuff. I had my own LLC back then. My property's underneath it. So when I came home, I just got sharper. I read a lot of Robert Kiyosaki books, over 20-something books. I read a lot of books. When I left, I read a lot of hood books. Then when I was in jail, like you said, Tay, I was reading a lot of books. So then one day when I think I came back from court, and they was talking about, I think they superseded me, because they took me to a profit hearing. I'm going to get into that in the book. Oh, yeah. So that's another thing people need to learn. They say that they don't take you to profit. They took me to a profit hearing and asked, do I want to cooperate? But I'm going to get into that in a different situation, because that's the story. But when I came back, I was so mad, and I seen the hood book, so I just picked the book, I just threw the bitch out the cell. Fuck that book. I'm living this shit. They just writing this shit. Like, I'm about to face life. So I threw the book out the cell, and I gave all the hood books away. My last hood book was Dutch. Dutch 2 was my last hood book. I threw that shit out too. You know what I mean? But I got my time back for the 2008, and that's when I had the early release for the COVID. So that's when I changed my life, and I just came home. I started doing my corporations. I started dealing with Wyoming and stuff like that, my New Jersey corporation, stuff like that. So I'm a beast in what I do. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? Like I said in the beginning, I reached out to these guys, and we formed this as a unity. And like I said, man, so we coming to help people and get on the back end of the knowledge. With though, man, y'all need to know about, y'all need to know what y'all doing. And need to know what y'all doing. When I say doing, mean not how to sell the drugs. Y'all need to know what y'all doing about to get yourself in some shit. All right. And that's basically it.
Great words of wisdom, guys. What keeps you motivated to continue to grow your brand despite challenges? And how do you define success for yourself and for your business?
That's about it. What keep me motivated? Man, my kids, my wife, my mom. And on top of that, though, myself, man. This became greater, right? More, a lot of this, what keep me motivated was my pop. My pop killed himself back in 2005, a little bit before I went to prison. So that's what keep me motivated, man. That's what keep me going, man. And then the people, man, the community. So me, I'm in the health and wellness field. So educate my people is the number one thing with like health. Because we lack that in our communities, man. That's the last thing we pay attention to is our health. We chase the money, we work, we party, we do everything else. But our health, we never pay attention to it till something happen. So that's what keep me motivated.
All right, what keep me motivated, man, is being able to impact lives. You know, talking to people that are starting to get it together based on your mentorship, based on you helping them. When they call you and you see them piecing together, it really motivates me to connect with brothers like this. How can we do more? You know, because I know it's important, it's needed. And, you know, because we all have a sense of, I don't know if you guys get it, but survivor's remorse. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, you know that you made it and we thank God. But we also know that it's a lot of people out here still struggling. And being able to help folks, it keeps you motivated. When I get challenged under the multiple things that I'm trying to do, you know, sometimes the motivator has to get motivated too. And what it is, you know, the stories, man. People that rely on you, people that really need you, keeps me motivated. My family, you know, is another thing that keeps me motivated. But I know the work that we're doing is important and is necessary. And I think the fact that we have the opportunity to use our platform to change lives keeps me motivated, because it's a lot of work to be done. And I believe that, you know, prison is just one thing, but one thing I know is true is that there's many prisons out here that people are in. More lethal than the physical prison is the mental prison. The prison of, you know, the prison of habit, the prison of laziness, the prison of poverty. All of these are prisons that our peoples are trapped in, and I think we can help them, you know, release from that prison. I think that's important. That's what keeps me motivated.
That's good.
What keeps me motivated first and foremost is definitely, you know, my 11-year-old daughter. You know, that's one of my biggest power source, right? There's things that I may not want to do for, you know, subconsciously. You know, I'll kind of get some power out of that. My family keeps me motivated, knowing that this is a legacy that we're trying to create as an empowerment house for the next people in line to definitely, hopefully, grab the torch. The people that we serve, you know, keeps me motivated. The affirmations that we get when we do serve the people, the profession I'm in, I'm able to be in the place where it constantly reminds me where I can be or where I came from, keeps me motivated to know that they're actually listening to the stories that we can share, and you get that energy back. Like, you know what, man, I'm glad I heard that from you, because that's going to give me hope. That keeps me motivated. You know, being able to just be reminded every day that, you know, the blessings that you get when you give out that good energy, you know, and the investment that people put in you keeps you motivated. Like, for example, Baby J Next Level Cuts. You know, he didn't have opened up the doors for this, right? That keeps me motivated to know that people that are already in position, small businesses that are in position, are willing to give us the opportunity. You know, Janet Porter from Returning Citizens, she keeps me motivated to know that they give us the opportunities for this. Some of the city of Trenton, you know, that are up top keep me motivated to be able, because they pour into us. So knowing that it is an opportunity for us to become a better version of ourselves and to also pour into the people that need that keeps me motivated, because that's what the house was basically upon, is just to be a power source, like Brother O was saying, you know, to help people when they do the inventory of themselves, that it's going to be a lot of help to be needed to reconstruct. That keeps me motivated, because in order to keep it, you got to give it away.
And what keep me motivated, man, is two sides that keep me motivated. The first side is my family, my mother, my wife, my stepson, and the most important, my daughter, Tiani. The relationship we have from the amount of time I've been gone, that strained relationship. But me and her still have a relationship. Like, I love my daughter so much. So Siani keep me motivated, she keep me grounded. And I don't want to leave again, because if I leave again, you know what I mean, that can strain our relationship. No matter that she's older now, but it can strain our relationship. And my other friend, my sister, that's why I wear my chain. My sister that passed away from sickle cell. I'm scared that, even though she's not here, but she's here with me in heart. But I don't like to disappoint her, you know what I mean? So I felt as though leaving disappointed her. But now that I'm back, you know what I mean, I'm back, I'm doing things that she like to do. That's why I got to cook out for a cause in honor of my sister and my dad too and everybody. But her, I don't want to disappoint her. So my sister Tanika Wells is like, that's my backbone. So I don't want to disappoint them. And then help the people out here. Now, I love to help the people out here. I like to see them smile and all that type of stuff. So keeping me grounded is just helping one. Then like the younger generation. The younger generation take a liking to me when we kick it. They inbox me a lot, ask me stuff and shit like that. They respect me. I respect them too. You know what I mean? So I just like to help them. You know what I mean? Another thing too, and another thing keep me grounded. Sometimes I reach out to Tracy Sidefacts. I call Tracy. A lot of people say Tracy be hard to catch up with. I ain't gonna lie. When I do catch up with Tracy or when I do call, he'll call me back. Man, I'll be spending 45 minutes or hours on the phone with this guy. And I'll be asking him shit, and he give me the answer to it. So he one of the ones that, like, you know what I mean, he give me some good feedback and stuff like that. But all in all, man, it's helping the people out. That's the main thing, helping the people out, the younger generation to the older generation.
Without a doubt. What advice would you give to someone just starting their journey after incarceration?
Be ready, right? Be ready, because you know, whether you was treating your incarceration as a sleepover or you was treating it as an opportunity to learn, be ready to put in that work, right? Because education without wisdom is dead. That's just my processing of me. Like, you know, a lot of brothers, like O was saying, you know, a lot of brothers have that stored information in them. Like, they could tell you, you know, front to back of the Bible, the Quran, AA, NA, how to open up a store, how to close it down. But when it's time for the action, you know, a lot of us fall short. So I would definitely just, you know, that would be the advice. Like, be ready to put that work in, because it's not easy. But if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? And like Les Brown, that's one of my mentors too, you know, and one of my Pastor Daniels, you know, they always say, man, you know, if it's hard, work harder. Yeah. Be ready to work hard. And make sure that you're putting your seed in healthy soil, right? Because if you put your seed in someone that's toxic, how can it grow? You know? And my last one, because I know the brother's gonna give you some more. The last one, from the bottom of my heart, let no one loss navigate your life.
So the branch off of that, I got a saying too. This is my saying. I say it all the time. Listen, everybody. It's for everybody, for myself included. The streets are open to everybody, but everybody's not open to the streets. The streets is open to everybody, but everybody not open to the streets. And meaning saying, when I was in there, man, a lot of motherfuckers, they got all the clothes on, they got all the rented cars, they got all the other shit, man. I know niggas getting money, and they can't even buy a suit. And this no backlash on nobody, but, you know, I'm not calling nobody out. But we all know what was going on in jail, wherever we from and wherever, you know, I mean, we dealt with that. So my thing is this, man. It's just that a lot of people, man, they go to jail, they can't even get commissary, they can't even call home. And you know the sad thing is that they ain't ready for it. Like you said, be ready, but they ain't ready for it. They call their mom for money. Why the fuck is you calling your mom for money when you won't even listen to your mom or help pay her bills? Disrespect her mom, call all types of names, but you calling her for a fucking suit. And then you act like you G'd up. That shit is not official. It's not official. You know what I mean? That shit fucked up. And there's a lot of dudes out there call their mom. And then I heard, I witnessed it. I know y'all witnessed on the phone cursing at not to send some money. So my thing is this, man. One thing I learned that I did hustle for, and it proved me wrong, it proved me right, but I wanted to be wrong, a lawyer and commissary. A lawyer and commissary. That's what all that money went to. A lot of my money went to a lawyer and fucking commissary. So be ready. You know what I mean? Like I said again, the streets is open to everybody, but everybody not open to the streets. So they gotta figure it out if they don't understand it. That's what it is.
That's real talk. And for me, man, you know, my advice I would give is trust the process. It's not easy, and something that O said that's very true. You know, and I'm gonna get the word from Hove. Hove said, you know, users aren't the only abusers of jokers getting high within the game. So users aren't the only abusers of jokers getting high within the game. The game is addictive, and like you said, it's not easy. So understanding where you come from in that, you have to know, like I said, self-reflection. What was my thing? What was my vice? You know, and be honest about that. Own it. And then when you do that, you can start making the necessary steps, because, you know, coming home is not easy, you know, because I think Benny the Butcher said the streets accepted us with all our flaws, and now the world is going to hold them against you. How do you come into this world with all these uncertainties and get some certainty? So you need support. Yep. You need support. And, you know, I made a lot of mistakes coming home because I didn't have people to talk to. Financial mistakes, credit card mistakes. I got jammed up in all the relationship mistakes. So a lot of the things that I helped form over the years of me being home was because I understood those barriers, and those barriers are significant. You know, being able to help brothers put things in place to help them in areas that I didn't get help. You know, and having people that come from various backgrounds is important, because gonna be able to touch people that I can't reach. Dante gonna be able to touch people that I can't reach. And Jose gonna be able to, you know, Juan gonna be able to touch people that I can't reach through his empowerment group. So that it's important that we kind of form these alliances so that we can make sure we got everything covered. Mm-hmm. And I think and in doing that, man, trust the process, because it ain't gonna happen overnight. But make sure you build your networks, build your circles. Tracy Side Effects, good brother, you know what I mean? Talk to the brothers that did make it, and find out what they did to get there. But it is a process. It's going to take everything you got, and we cannot approach things ordinarily. We got to approach things extraordinary, because, you know, for everything that we try, believe you me, it's going to be all sorts of barriers in our way. But with help and support, we can overcome these barriers. But you need the support. And then being honest, you know, about what you need, because honest mind leads to a transformed mind. Yeah. Got to be honest. What help do you need? You know, and when you're honest about that, you'll get the help. But as men, we need to talk. We don't talk. We don't have these platforms to talk. And like I said, I carried the burden of my burdens, Juan. I carried those burdens because I didn't have nobody to talk to. I wanted to fix it myself. Having people to talk to, man, I could have avoided a lot of unnecessary challenges that I created myself when I came home. So that would be advice, man. Connect with people and be honest, and get the help. It's out here now. Yeah. The help is out here. You know, you just got to get with the right people.
Yeah. Man, two things I think is very important for me. What I tell someone, man. First thing, have patience. I think we rush a lot once we come back from behind that wall, right? We rush to do for our kids, we rush to do for the lady, we rush to pay bills, and we don't have it. So sometimes that put our back against the wall, man, to make us jump right back into what we know how to do, what we know best. I think a lot of times that's what do it, man. So I tell people, just be patient, man. Number two, the biggest thing, man, remember where you came from. When you just did all that time, when you just be behind that wall, when them sleepless nights, when you used to cry at night, man, men cry. We cried in that motherfucker a lot of nights that we wanted to be free, right? Remember them nights. Remember them nights, man. Remember when you had to wait till you could eat again. Remember when you couldn't open the refrigerator and you couldn't use the microwave. Remember them nights. Remember you had the bunker you ain't like because he was snoring probably. Remember them nights. You know what I mean? Remember them. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why I tell them. So yeah, that's what you be ready. You feel what I'm saying? Remember that stuff, man. And just be patient, like everybody's saying, man. Just get around like-minded individuals, man, who's moving in that direction you want to move in, to learn from individuals. And that's what I'll leave them with, that right there.
Can I do two more things? Going over what Dante was saying, definitely be on the lookout from what Dante just said. It's very important. I teach this to all of my individuals that I speak to. It's to master the fact and of understanding that when situations change, so does the mind.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yes.
When you feed into that, what I just said, it'll keep you on the lookout of what you're going to be doing. Right? Because a lot of times,
And when the mind change, the people change around you.
that's true. That's right. Your whole that's boom. You got to make a sound on that. Right. Because when your mind change, you enter a whole different culture, atmosphere, environment. Facts. Right. What I find out to be not only within myself and my personal experience, and what I see with my profession is that a lot of people, they are motivated to come home. They are prepared mentally to come home. Right. But when they come home, the first 30 to 60 to 90 days, their mind is still motivated, but then they start backtracking. Why? Because situations done change.
Yeah.
So now the mind starts to change. And if you ever notice, some of our brothers can testify on this, is that most of us that's coming from this type of background do the best while in prison.
Yep.
It's
Yes.
hygiene,
Yes.
far as mental, far as spiritual, far as educational. Why? Because the situations has changed. You have more of a structure. When you're out, you start to change that process. And it's very important what Andre was saying.
Yeah.
When you connect, because I plan on staying connected.
Yeah.
What it does is keeps you on elevation mode, right? Like the brother that's allowing us to hold this barbershop, Baby J's Next Level Cut. He, 1708 South Broad Street. That's right. Yes, definitely. That's right. Stay fresh by the best. Right? Right? That's right. But what I'm saying, so, this man right here, the man that owns this barbershop, has taught me how to elevate my skill level in fishing.
Yeah, you go.
Survival mode, which again, props to my stepfather that did the same thing. But I'm able to now teach my daughter who now fishes, who now fish, right? So again, staying connected with the right like-minded people, man. It's very important. And understand, real quick, that although we come from a background that we come from, when you're entering back into a whole different side of society that we're dealing with today, how to break that stigma, get educated, become talented, and get skilled.
Yeah.
They got to respect that.
Yes. Yes. I think we got one more, and that's it. I think we got one more that's going to take us out.
Last thoughts?
Last thoughts. Go ahead. You got it.
Now, just to piggyback on what everybody's saying here, I think it's important to, again, coming home, it's going to be challenges, but those are the things that develop you. Team Chisel, I know you can relate to this, the development of the muscles, stress the muscles, but in the pain comes the gain.
Yes.
So even though it may be tough initially, keep putting the work in. Most successful people will tell you it's not the things that they accomplish, it's the journey there. So keep working hard at it. The worst days are the best days because you learn the most about yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Learn the most about yourself, being connected, build your circle. Because if nobody in your circle inspires you, you don't have a circle, you have a cage. So we got to break these barriers, break these cages, get around good people so that we can do this work. And you got to be a willing participant in the change that you want. You got to be a willing participant. I think I read one of your posts, Dante, has said, you got to be the change that you want. Others to be. You got to be those change. See, I read that stuff.
Yeah.
It motivates me. And so we got to learn to build off each other, and learn from each other because, the more we learn, the more we can have impact. And we don't know it all. But, I gained experiences just by having this conversation. I learned some things. And I think that's important, get in the right circle. So that's my final.
And, man, what we like to say is, man, thank y'all, man. We appreciate y'all. Man, listen, this is the United Roundtable, man. Remember, the United Roundtable, man. We stay strong together. We coming like a force, man, to be reckoned with, man. And we coming to build our community, though. We coming to uplift each other, inspire each other, and educate each other, man, to help each one grow, man. Like back in the day, man, they said, man, each one teach one. Right. So that's the mission we on out here, man. Each one teach one, man. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Catch us on the next one, man. You good?
So the only thing, all right. So the close out. You want to close out? You want to close out after me? So like you say, man, we coming. The message is, man, like I said, the streets is open to everybody. Everybody open to the streets. I can't stress that enough. We're gonna be forming together. We're gonna be real patient. Around probably next year this time, man. Inshallah, man. We're going to be in a lot of doors, talking to a lot of people, doing a lot of nonprofit things. We're going to be giving back a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? So we're going to be working together. If one of us ain't dead, three of us there. And if two of us ain't dead, two of us there. That's the whole object of having an organization. A structure, however you want to call it. Everybody got a structure or organization, man. If you want to go to the top, to the billionaires, Even bombs got organizations. No, real talk. Even bombs got organization. If they got to figure a way out how to eat, they gonna figure it out together. You know what I mean? So we just need each other to help each other. So that's really the only thing I gotta say, man. Like you said, man, we came together to help each other, and that's what we're gonna do. So it's gonna be a slow grind, but slow grind is always the best grind. And just know that we just gonna be there for each other. So Juan gonna close us out, man.
Yeah, so echoing off of what Omar was saying, man, we just want to give you guys, today was basically just give you guys a preview of who we are, what we stand for, and how we're going to be coming together, cohesiveness, to be able to, produce the substance that's needed out in our society, whether it's speaking to a teenager, to an adult, whether it's speaking to someone that's returning home, whether it's a person that's actively involved in the streets. We just want to be able to, let you guys know that we exist, that if you are going through some things, as far as mother to father, mother to son, mother to daughter, we have a source of information and experience that be able to lead you into conversation and, to pour into the individual. So please stay tuned to our next United Round Table discussion. We're going to be speaking on many different topics, right? We're going to be speaking off a nonprofit point of view, LLC, mental health, another LLC brotherhood. So we come with a lot of experience, a lot of substance, and it's just all primarily for the people, right? We're looking to go into some schools, into some community centers, doing some traveling. We are open to do some traveling and do a speaker jam with the population, and we can't do it without y'all. So please share, please subscribe to the United Round Table once it gets into formation on that level. Again, thanks, Baby J, Next Level Cut again for allowing us to 1708, allowing us to rent out the space. And listen, if you want something you never had, you got to do something you never did. So if you want a better trend, do something you never did. Invest in the people that live here. Right?
You heard it here first.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Round table, there we go. All right.